Welcome back to Stream It. So we're gonna keep going with Avenue 5. We watched 5 and 6 for today. Then we're gonna do episode 2 of Westworld. And then we're going to talk about just some of our favorite or cool shows that have been adapted from graphic novels or comic books. So that'll be cool. So we can
Very
jump
cool.
right into Avenue 5.
Yeah.
Don't
More
all
of the
jump
same
at
from
once.
that show, I'd say.
Yeah.
Not horrible, but there's just I don't know.
I will say I actually didn't mind episode 6, the most recent one we watched.
I was thinking the same thing when I watched it last night.
Yeah, that one was like pretty funny. And for the first time, I feel like it was kind of uh, the newest of like plots they've had. It wasn't just like, oh, something keeps happening and let's just talk about it. Like I thought it was the most different they've strayed from the first 5.
Yeah, like the beep was pretty funny, and they go searching for it, and it's like driving everybody nuts, and the assistant lady there is like laughing at it, and it had a bunch of funny parts with that,
Mhm.
and like the hysteria that once they realize it's like a lack of oxygen, like the kind of like subtle hysteria that starts seeping in is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Zach Woods again. If it weren't for him, I would really struggle getting through the rest of this show. Him when he becomes Judd's little sidekick was really funny, and when they were talking about how Judd could win a fight against the baby, that was so funny. Actually, I was like, okay, finally, like a really funny moment. And he was like, "What? Yeah, one hit to the soft spot, and that
Yeah.
baby's done."
The non-combat ready baby.
Yeah, like I feel like all the characters were actually likable and genuinely funny in that episode.
Yeah, so batting 1 for 6 right now.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing for me is that I don't really like Hugh Laurie's character. And it's tough because like he's supposed to be the leading guy.
Yeah.
I think he's like the weakest one for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was kind of something we touched on last week, that it's the not even so much secondary characters. It's just like the step down from Hugh Laurie and um I can't think of his name now. Judd. What's his name?
Josh Gad.
Josh
Oh,
Gad.
yeah.
And just that one step down are funnier than the main characters that they focus the most time on.
Mhm. Like the astronaut guy is becoming funnier with like
Yes.
the happening where at the end they were like, "Oh, good news, it just wants us to recalibrate." And he's like, "Oh yeah, that was the second option." I
So the baby.
that.
Yeah, and adding the baby into it was funny because it made Iris just not like hate everyone and
Yeah.
like what she's been like the first 5 episodes. I
Mhm.
don't remember episode 5 too much.
That was the when they had the party, halfway
Oh,
home
right,
party.
yeah. Yeah.
Which like was just ridiculous. The comedian, that whole piece came back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
what
was
the heck?
that was they rode that so long. And
I
then
hated
they
that
tried to
whole
kill Frank.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, now I remember.
and Billy's the one who actually like fixed the poop circle problem,
Mhm.
but they only were thanking um Brian Hugh Laurie.
Yep.
Right.
And then again in chapter 5 with Karen, it was funny. She just kept saying, "Well, we could murder him."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the main story is kind of, I think, like Sarah, you said, them changing it up a little bit, making it about like the beep and people going nuts and losing sleep compared to just, oh, guess what? We're off course again. Something like that
Yeah, I
really
agree.
helped because those first 5 episodes were, it's going to take 3 years. Now it's going to take 6 months. Now it's going to take 3 years and 6 months. It was just like,
Yeah, exactly. Also, the Judd like Enterprise lady on Earth, like she did something different. Actually went
Mm-hmm.
to the White House, which was in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It is. There are those little funny seeds that are planted, and who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe it ends strongly,
maybe.
Mhm.
but yeah, that
At least
was.
they're diversifying some of the plot lines, and people are doing some different stuff now, which is good.
Yeah, I like the show's like point of view on what the world is like in the future because they have two presidents, and the second one is like it looks like a router. Like he's just like a little like Siri
Yeah,
voice in a little
Yeah,
tiny stick.
yeah.
yeah, it's just like AI. It's just a Siri president.
And both places were like the RMV, like or the
Yeah.
DMV.
Yeah,
Like if they did more of that stuff, that would be cool. Just because I think they could get so ridiculous with
Yeah,
the futuristic, part of the
right.
world.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see if they keep that up. Like where they'll go, because brought up the fact that they just have to now they have to kill 500 people to get the funding from the second
Oh,
president.
Yeah.
true.
So I wonder if that will be a big plot line going forward.
Yeah. I think she kind of got cut off when they were doing the like the FaceTime thing. So she just said like the 500 passengers, but then she went on to be like, "But I'm not going to do that." Da 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 da. But I don't think they heard that, so I wonder if they'll reconnect on that. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not as much of a thinking ahead type of show like Russian Doll was, where we were trying to figure out what everything meant,
Yeah.
where everyone was going. This is kind of just like, okay, let's see what nonsense ensues.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was a more positive recap this time instead of us
Yeah,
just
it was.
we hate it. All right, should we jump into Westworld? I guess now
Yeah.
that was the quickest one we ever did for a show.
Oh wait, I wanted to ask. So there's 9 episodes. Should we just close it out next week? Should we watch the last 3?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah,
I figure it wouldn't make sense to stay on the 2 episodes a week thing and then just have like a quick wrap up of it.
Right.
Cool.
sounds good. All right, and then I just got confused of what episode and season you're on. Episode 2 of Westworld.
Wow, I love this episode. I thought it was awesome. I think that's because I really like Maeve's character. And I was curious as to like the fallout and aftermath of like Westworld falling apart basically, but there's so many like little worlds. So it was cool that I don't know that it was still a thing.
So
Mhm.
my question is she in Westworld or was she in that guy's simulation for the whole time?
Simulation.
Simulation, yeah.
Yeah, so she wasn't
I
in
guess at
work.
the beginning of the episode, it's like that's what they want you to think. I guess was what I was getting at.
Yeah.
So it's just cool that they like set it back up like that.
But it is somewhat still functioning because then when Bernard is there, they were like, "Oh, all these people are just waiting to be laid off." And you saw the like hints of one of the worlds that was like medieval, and there was like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
dragon
yeah.
in one of the rooms.
Right. The little Easter egg of Game of Thrones.
I know, right?
That was
Yeah,
cool.
the dragon, yeah. Um
So
okay.
yeah, we should talk about Maeve's little. So she was in a simulation where they were trying to find out like where Dolores sent all the hosts. Maybe like that's why they end up in that place. You know when Lee Sizemore is trying to like smooze her when like he's like I'm in love with you, and she realizes that it's not real, and that he's trying to get information from her.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was confused as to like what the overall point
Point.
of
I
that
think
was.
that was the point they were trying. That's why they went to. I forget what they called it, like the Forge or something.
Mhm.
But that like techie looking building that they're in, and he's like, but I'm in love with you, blah blah blah, and she's like, wait, you wouldn't love me. You're not real. You did die at the end of the last season, and this isn't. Like she starts to figure it out.
It's
Yeah.
like what they were doing with Dolores's father in the second season, where they were trying to take
Mhm.
like the actual human and turn him into one of the robots, but then when he kind of got to an impasse where he couldn't like compute something, he started to glitch because there were
Right.
points where he was just glitching over and over and over.
Yeah. So I think once Maeve figured out that this was like something was up and they were trying to get information from her, she was like not going to happen. I'm going to break out of this thing.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, because they thought she was the one who opened the forge, and that's why they went
Yeah.
the whole journey.
Right.
Okay, that's some good clarification because I was kind of like, this is cool, but why did they do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I think that was like the point. They were trying to get information from her, and then she like overloads the system, which is really cool. How she like figures it out, and then um, like the math problem with the like text to like start to overwhelm the
Yeah.
system, and
And
then putting the maps in all the people's coats in
Mhm.
War World
yeah, so
at the end.
all the texts would you would see that they couldn't figure out why it's happening and they all started to glitch.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking is of all the worlds that they have in that universe, who would ever choose to go to War World?
I
That
feel
Yeah.
like I feel like if you just wanted to go and exact revenge on Nazis, that's why you would go.
that's true.
Yeah.
Because
I
it's
don't know if you want to spend too much time there.
yeah, like it seemed like the whole like it wasn't even like you could kind of hide. Like the whole simulation they kept playing over and over was like the whole town was being raided. I'm like, that doesn't seem very
Yeah.
fun
You
or
know what
relaxed.
world would be sweet though is the medieval world. Imagine if you could
Yeah.
just like be in like Game of Thrones and like go around with a sword and like get in fights and stuff. Like with the Westworld premise, that's probably just as good as like the Wild West.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was like, if this is, I can't remember, they've mentioned how much it is to go to these, but it's like millions of dollars. So it's like, if someone's going to drop that much money, why would you choose,
War
Nazi
World.
Germany over like riding a dragon?
Maybe you could do
Yeah.
like a day in War World and then like a day in medieval world.
Yeah. Just do little walkthroughs of them all.
Yeah. It's like the Disney parks. Like you can plan a whole vacation around the different.
Yeah, and just choose your vibe for the kind of hotel you want to stay in.
Yeah. um, and then Bernard's little storyline was pretty cool in
Yeah,
this
it seems
episode.
like
How
he wants to kind of he's the one that's looking to make up for everything that happened. He has
Mhm.
like a conscience about him.
well, I don't think he wants Dolores to like take over the world with robots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I like that it was a cool little wrinkle that the one robot tried to end himself but missed like the main thing.
Stubbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you could see that Bernard still could like control himself but also other robots because he as we saw at the end he made him his own
Right.
personal bodyguard.
Right.
Mhm.
But what was it? It's Stubbs you said?
Stubbs. Yeah.
He is like he knows what's going on because when he switched his primary function, he was like, "Well, you could have just asked." So it's like he knows what's going on too.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean, I think his job was to protect like the hosts back when Westworld was a thing, and then now he's going to protect Bernard, which is cool. And I think Bernard, they were looking for Maeve, right?
Yeah.
and they found her body, but someone had taken her brain.
Mm-hmm.
And thus they took her brain and put it in that little like test building that she broke out of.
But they think Dolores took her. Bernard does.
But wasn't her brain in that like tech thing that the robot broke her out of?
Yeah, so
Oh, but Dolores, I mean, Bernard thinks that Dolores took it. That's what
yeah, and I'm sure, like, I'm assuming maybe like next episode or throughout like the season, we'll probably see how she ended up in that guy's facility.
Right.
Because, like, I don't think he would have had any way of like getting into Westworld when all of that was happening and like taking it himself.
Yeah.
So maybe, like, Dolores did take her, but didn't keep
So
her.
Dolores left as Charlotte Hale, right?
Yeah.
At the end of
Yes.
season 2, and Maeve was killed at the the opening to whatever like that paradise was.
Yes.
So we, as of right now, have seen Maeve wake up in War World after we just last saw her dying. There's been no other indication that she was one of the little orbs that Dolores took.
Right.
Because she did take like 5, right? 5 little brain orbs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's likely that Maeve died at the end of the season or whatever, and then it seemed like she was still in Westworld, and like her brain was too, because they took her brain out of the body, like there was evidence that they found. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Dolores had Maeve
Right.
in her clutch.
So it seems like whoever the guy was where she ended up, it seems as of right now that he must have gone in and looking for Maeve.
Did they say that guy was the father of the first episode, like the guy there?
No.
I don't think so.
I
The
don't.
first episode guy was like a lot older.
Yeah, I don't think we have like any information on him yet.
Oh, okay. Well, it might be the dad of that kid who was in charge of that big orb.
Right.
That's true.
So that's cool.
Oh wait, you're saying Dolores' boyfriend, not the guy that was killed at the very beginning.
Right. Dolores' little boyfriend there.
Yeah, he showed him, and I was wondering that same thing too. For a little bit, but it didn't seem like it.
I'm not sure. I watched it last week, and that's I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
But anyways, the guy that was talking with Maeve at the end might be Dolores' little fake boyfriend there's father.
I could see that.
So it seems like Bernard's trying to find Maeve to help stop Dolores, right?
Mm-hmm. And now Maeve is back to being controlled by the guy at the end.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's got a different body, probably.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited for the whole aspect of like the drone robots, like the one that broke out Maeve.
Yeah.
Because the whole world is pretty much like run by them almost. Like they're not in charge, but they're everywhere and they're used for like maintenance and stuff.
Yeah.
And now you have like the hosts out in the world that can like so easily like hack into them.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a very big thing.
Right.
I wonder if that's where like Caleb comes in, being a human and just being like, I don't know if he, like don't want to say uncorruptible because he was doing Tinder for
Rico.
Rico. But I wonder if he comes in because he can't be like controlled really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be interesting now to see how they mesh. Like they did like Dolores' story, and then they did Maeve.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's see how all those worlds collide.
I think the next episode focuses a lot on Charlotte because she's
Oh,
the thumbnail on HBO.
oh yeah. It's cool that there are like what, like 5 characters that Dolores escaped with that like we don't we don't know who they are or like where they're gonna come up, you know?
Mhm.
Because one of them should be Charlotte, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe Charlotte is Charlotte, or she could be like Teddy, or she could be
Well,
any like.
Charlotte died, right?
Yes.
Charlotte died and Dolores left as Charlotte.
Mhm.
Oh,
Was Charlotte a human or a host the whole time?
She was a human, and then Dolores in Charlotte's body shot her.
Right. Kind of like what we saw at the end of the
oh
Dolores
yeah,
episode where the
that's crazy.
like security guy was killed by his host security self.
Yes.
Wild.
Yeah, a lot of now this is much different than Avenue 5. A lot to unpack.
For sure. It's pretty cool. I like how they're kind of setting all this up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all just gonna come together.
Hmm.
All the different storylines.
And we'll be confused still.
Yeah.
This could be a college course.
Right? This is one series that I feel like I could watch like from the beginning all over again and still be like, oh, wow.
Right, we're in the 3rd season and like the 2nd episode you'd be like, "Oh, I completely missed that."
Yeah. And like really try to understand it again. Especially last season with like all the Delos like creating or putting humans into hosts. Like
Yeah.
I get the gist of it, but it was kind of complicated.
Oh, yeah, so much of that went over my head.
Yeah.
That like I'd finish the episode and then someone would like I'd ask someone to explain it and I was like, "Oh,
Oh, that's cool.
that's what the books in that weird library were."
Yeah.
Dolores is like in the library of people. I was like, "What is happening?" Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated.
All right. Any final Westworld thoughts?
No, I like Cam said, I like that they're setting just like getting the background stories done to start this whole host war that
Mhm.
it seems like we're heading to.
Yeah.
So we're pretty much on one timeline right now, right? With the
Yeah.
exception of like if we know it's a flashback.
Well, so I thought that we weren't because they were showing Maeve in Warworld, and then they were showing that Stubbs and Bernard found her body, and I was like, how could they find her body and her be in Warworld if it's not the same timeline? But then come to find out, it could be because it was just a simulation, and her body could be in Westworld while her brain was somewhere else. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh, here we go again. I don't know where I am, when I am, all that stuff." And
Yeah.
then at the end it was like, "Oh, okay, so everyone's on the same timeline." And
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
it seems like the whole episode is building up to be like basically the same day or like time roughly. Like
Yeah.
the whole background of Dolores led to day X. The whole background of Maeve is led to day X. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's one timeline as of now, but who knows?
Yeah. We'll probably find out in like episode 7.
Yeah.
All right. So, want to move on to talking about shows made from graphic novels?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't word that very beautifully.
Well,
So
it's tough when we don't have the previews and everything to cut to
Yeah.
to save ourselves.
Well, so I just watched one. I think we had talked about it. You guys thought that it might be good for me to watch, but the I'm not okay with this series, which ended up being really good. I was impressed. and yeah, came from a graphic novel. It had that kind of superpower, supernatural element, which I feel like is kind of graphic novel-y. Um, but Sarah, did you also see that one?
Yes, I love
Uh, yeah, it was pretty well acted, well written, good um, like characters and um, pretty good show, pretty good watch, and a big twist at the end. Well, kind of a wow
The
moment.
finale was great. I
Yeah,
won't say anything, but
and they even kind of hinted at it, right off the bat. So you were kind of waiting for that like
Mhm.
impending, doom of like, how did she get there? And then it's still like, wow, you were like looking for it. It's funny actually when we were watching the final episode, she like put on the outfit that you see at like the beginning, and I was like, oh no, like that's the dress. That's the one that like something's gonna happen like within the next like this day, you know. But still, I wasn't ready for how it actually went down. We'll save the spoilers, but
Yeah,
um,
it definitely shocked me. And like I didn't think because it's such a good show, but I wouldn't have thought that there would ever be like a moment in that show that would
yeah, yeah,
my jaw drop.
right.
Like in the last episode, I was like, wow, I have not had a reaction like that to like a TV show in a long time.
Yeah, it was like a jaw drop. I think the whole tone of the show is good, but it's
Mhm.
like at one level the whole time, like kind of lighthearted, kind of like teen drama, and then all of a sudden it's like bang, we're gonna drop this
Yeah.
on you. So it was pretty crazy.
I think it shows like that, and I'm trying to think if we have any other examples of that.
I feel like quick. I'll inform our audience and also Tom that basically this is a show about a young girl whose father passes away and she's like adjusting to life without him, and she's like not the most social person, but like going through high school and everything, and then she starts like having telekinesis basically, and like being able to move things and do things with her minds kind of based on emotion. So like when she gets riled up, things go down. um, and then she just like deals with all that throughout the season. So
Mhm.
Cool, cool, cool.
cool, cool,
And
cool,
I
cool, cool.
like shows like that that are I would have never thought it was from a graphic novel because I always associate like just superheroes with like comic books and graphic novels, but it's like because so much of that show is like also a coming of age story,
Yeah,
and I'd never like
it was a
pair
good
that
mix.
with a graphic novel.
Yeah, yeah, it was a really good mix.
Mm.
It was
Yeah,
cool.
definitely other examples are really like that. They all kind of fit in with what you'd expect.
Yeah. Well,
Like that.
the other one we've talked about on this show is Watchmen, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And I think we all enjoyed that. That was like pretty cool, really well written show. Um, but they had like plenty to draw off, at least for like the basis, and then they kind of took it into like a future version of those characters, right? Because the actual HBO show wasn't the same as the novel, graphic novel, right?
no, I think the graphic novel
Or did it
is kind of
a,
more of what
a
the
prequel to the show?
Watchmen. Exactly.
Yeah,
Not yeah. So it's like this is what the world was like when the Watchmen were all
yeah.
like together in a team and all that, and then the ones that went before it, I forget the name of them, that were in like the 30s and 40s. That there was another group of crime fighters, but I
Oh
think
yeah, Justice League. No, Hooded Justice,
yeah, that like
whatever.
all those
Oh
people,
yeah, yeah.
Silver Spectre or whatever.
Yeah,
I think though graphic novel, I could be wrong, but I think it just tells that story.
yeah,
And then the show that we just watched took that story but like moved it to 2019 because
yeah.
I think that takes place in like the 70s and 80s.
Right. Yeah. So basically, the graphic novel, was a prequel to the HBO show that we all watched, but still a good connection and cool
Yeah, I mean it had
interpretation.
I think all the characters except maybe like one.
Yeah.
That was so well done. That show was awesome. And I'm seeing they're coming back for a second season, and I'm kind of like, I trust them, but if the same creator is not going to be a part of it, maybe I don't want it.
Yeah.
Will he not be a part of it?
As of now, he says he's not doing season 2.
Uh,
So, kind of like, why don't we just let this good thing be untouched?
Yeah.
Because it's something you can definitely like go back after like 2 years and be like, oh yeah, I'll watch these 8 episodes again.
Yeah.
Like, and then still probably like Westworld pick stuff up because it is so confusing and weird.
Yeah. It's cool how that whole show unfolds.
and if the original creator didn't plan on a second season, that usually means that the new writers are going to be like scrambling for like plot
Yeah.
ideas, and I feel like that very rarely
Works
works
out.
out. Yes, maybe we can bring these characters back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird.
I would say the most common graphic novel TV show, the most popular one, has been Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Because that's like Watchmen, actually a graphic novel and not so much a comic book series. Because when I was a kid, I watched like X-Men and Batman. Like they had the Saturday morning cartoon versions of those. But Walking Dead is like a graphic novel, like 5 books or something. I'm not sure exactly how many. And I think that's what the show has been sticking to. So people know that like so and so character is actually going to die, even though like you love them. People that might have read the graphic novels already know that.
Yeah, I think that the whole graphic novel piece, like Walking Dead, kind of like epitomizes the like fan theories and referencing back to the books and trying to figure out like what's gonna happen and stuff like that. They have like a whole, what is it, like Talking Dead, that would
Mm-hmm.
play after the show, like because there's so much to like discuss and figure out, and like I feel like that's one of the first shows that really had like that whole buzz around it like that. You know what I mean? Because it had the graphic novel background, but then the show was actually just really good too. So, um, and it had its like variations, which like gave people like helped had them like try to figure out, is this going to happen to this character? Is this character in replacement of this other character? Or so it was pretty cool to have like a graphic novel do that.
And now they have like, is Fear the Walking Dead like a prequel, kind of? You know,
I I know of the show, but I know like nothing about it.
I haven't seen.
But it's also like just as popular.
yeah, I might be completely wrong. I haven't seen it. I think I saw like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and it seemed like it was the prequel because it kind of had the whole like the virus is starting. um but I don't know if that's like in the graphic novels. I don't think it is. I think this is like a separate show they're making now, kind of like what Watchmen did, just kind of building off of this world.
Mm.
So that's kind of cool if that's what it is.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I think I stopped watching The Walking Dead in like after the 3rd season. I got sick of it. Cuz to me it seemed just like a lot of the same.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's what I've heard.
Yeah, it was just kind of like we're running away from zombies. Oh, we got out of this tight spot, so we set up shop here, but oh no, these other humans want this spot, so now we have to fight the humans, but there's still zombies walking around. It's just like you're doing kind of the same arc every season. So
Give the people what they want.
yeah, I get so surprised when I still see it's running.
Yeah.
But
What's
also, I don't know if any characters or most of the characters from like the first 2 seasons are not there anymore.
I saw on Twitter that an OG character is gone now, like as of last week. I don't know her name or like anything about her, but it was trending and people were very upset.
Yeah.
Wow.
But so do we know any others? I've been looking them up and I see like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is kind of funny. I just don't. Sarah, did you find any more that like were kind of popular?
Let me see.
I guess there's probably just on that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle like idea. There's probably a whole bunch of movies that, like Transformers, is based off of what, comic books?
Was it a comic book or a cartoon first?
I don't know, but like I guess there's just a outside of like DC and Marvel, there's still a lot of like Transformers or Ninja Turtles or um, some of these kind of like graphic novel cartoons or um, comic books that have turned into like kind of well-known stories. And then it's cool because I feel like they, just like when they turn a book into a movie, there's like a fan following. You know, if like when Harry Potter movies came out, everyone was like, "Oh, I read the books, I gotta go see the movies." Um, but I feel like a lot of those, kind of what I was saying before, but a lot of those shows or movies that are rooted in like one of these comic books or a regular book or whatever, they have like a really big fan following, and everyone's trying to kind of like relive the story that they love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been really popular. In all of entertainment.
Well, I think it's cool that Marvel is obviously like the biggest example, but that's a huge one where people were making these crazy theories based on what happened in the comic books and like where the movies were going. And like everyone already knew that like Infinity War would eventually happen because the comic books predicted it, but so many like other people died in the comic books versus how they did it in the movies. So like
Yeah.
I think that and there was a version where do you think I can say a spoiler for Endgame at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's been a year.
All right, it's Endgame. So like there are versions in the comic books where Tony Stark dies, but then there was like another edition that was like Captain America is the one who died or something. So everyone was like leading up to Endgame, like, oh, like which version are they gonna go with? Like, I think it'll be this because they hinted at Thanos doing that, which he did in like edition 7 of that one. Like it got so
Exactly.
crazy and twisted.
Yeah, the fan experience with that stuff is just like turned up all the way because there's all these things to draw on and theories, and that's like part of like consuming like shows and stuff right now. It's like having theories and figuring it out, and yeah, it's kind of cool.
Did you watch Umbrella Academy, Cam?
I did, and that was another one, right?
Yeah, that was a comic book series.
Yeah, that was another one that had the what was it, like a superpower, time travel. They had like a lot of those like supernatural elements going on. Um, Trying to remember it, but yeah, that was a pretty good. That was a cool show. I had never heard of the Umbrella Academy before, so it's kind of a nice, fresh story.
And they got a huge I didn't watch it, but I know that they have a huge following of
Oh
people
yeah,
now that I don't know if it's been renewed or canceled or what's happening with it, but people really like that show.
yeah. It was cool. It was, I mean, from what I remember, it was like misfit kids that got taken in or something, or there was a group of specialty. There's a group of kids that were all born on like the same day or something that had some special connection, and this guy like adopted them and raised them to like develop them, and now they're all adults and like I don't know, just dealing with they're like a family, but they're not, you know. But kind of, I don't know. It was pretty cool. The guy that adopted them, he died, and they all came back together to like figure it out, like what happened and why and all this stuff. So, um, yeah, pretty good show.
Maybe I'll check that out. Isn't Ellen Page in it?
Yeah, yeah, she's one of the main characters, I guess. She was pretty good.
Another one that I just kind of noticed sifting through that I liked as a kid, and I know there's been like 1 or 2 remakes, is The Tick, which is just like this ridiculous superhero that is a tick. And it's actually, I remember being younger and it was like hysterical. And I am interested. I kind of want to go search for like the remakes they've made to see, even the original, to see if it's like what I remember as the comedy. But that's one that was like a short comic book or graphic novel series that.
Have you seen the one on Amazon?
I haven't. I keep meaning to watch it, and I mean, if there's ever a time, it's now. But
I started it a couple times, but I don't know why I haven't it hasn't been bad or anything, but I just haven't kept on it. Like I watched like first like 10 minutes or something. But yeah, could be good.
So is he as small as a tick?
No, he's like has super strength. I think he has like you can't step on a tick and kill it. I think he has like that kind of stuff. If I honestly haven't seen it since I was like 10. So I can't really remember. I think he has might be similar to like Ant-Man, where you can just like take the power of an ant.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He was created by someone in Boston.
Oh. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, here's a list of powers and abilities: superhuman strength and mass. Yeah, so he's just like super strength. So, but it's like really, it's different. It's almost not quite Deadpool, where it's like rated R.
And,
yeah, but it is sarcastic, and I think the jokes are aimed a little more for adults than like kids. So I think that's his whole shtick.
Maybe I'll watch that on Amazon. There's only like 2 seasons.
Yeah, I would seek out the one from 1994 first.
That's the cartoon one, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be on Netflix.
Yeah. So that's all I can remember.
I guess the last thing I can think of is kind of like the flip side, where a lot of popular shows and movies have been turned into comic books that weren't originally. Like Star Wars has like thousands of comic books now that like tell additional stories to things that you didn't see in the movies. Like I have a Leo one.
So is that fan fiction, or did like George Lucas like say, no, okay, you can take this story and okay.
It's like most of them, at least. I mean, maybe there's some out there that have been published just by fans or something, but most of them are by the books.
That's cool.
Yeah, Stranger Things has a bunch now.
Oh wow.
That they're starting to push out.
Yeah, I wonder if that's when I was looking up Ninja Turtles, I wonder if comic books came after the show was like created in like the 80s.
Right, yeah.
Or things like that, I don't know. But I would say it's something like I'm Not Okay With This seems so unique because it is just like it's live action, which is not so much you see. Like if you watch a Marvel movie, you know it's a comic book movie.
Right.
But it seems like I'm Not Okay With This kind of takes its own path where it's like it's just this regular kid that all of a sudden this happens to.
Yeah.
And it's more of like you said, like a coming of age teen drama type thing with.
Yeah, I think those would be popular, like on Netflix and just today's audience. Like that's a really cool mix of like a genre, you know?
Yeah. And it takes on well, not it's not really similar to Stranger Things, but I think they're really also riding on any story that's like related to like kids, but also one of them has superpowers.
Yeah.
Um, and they're
Yeah,
using the
sure.
same cast from like It and no one from Stranger Things was in this, but like you can tell that they
It's a
really
similar vibe, yeah.
a group of kids. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good one. Recommend it.
Yeah. Very cool.
So that's all I could think of for that.
Yeah, I think basically now you just kind of get into like Batman, X-Men, Spider-Man, all these shows that had like cartoon runs.
Mhm.
Pretty cool.
So I guess that wraps it up.
One other thing, have you guys seen the like Netflix hangout thing? Like you watch a Netflix show at the same time as a friend?
Yeah.
Is that real?
I didn't know if people were doing that with like Google Meet or just like saying, okay, through a text, 1, 2, 3, press play, or if I don't know, is it something where you like have something like what we have now, but also the movies up there?
I don't know.
I think so. My friend started one of those. I didn't join it because I've always been busy, but she's watched it with like one of our other friends.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if it's just like I think there's like a chat bar, but I don't know if you can see each other.
That's still
Huh.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Might be something we could try out in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I forgot, we talked about this earlier in the week, but if you are a fan or have always wanted to watch one of the prestige HBO shows during this quarantine, they are free without subscription. And I think it's Veep, The Sopranos, The Wire, True Blood, and there might be one more. So like 5 of their really popular shows you can just watch.
Everybody's doing their part.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
I know. Like if you've always wanted to watch The Sopranos, but you're like, I'm not paying for HBO or DVDs or whatever you would buy them, or however you would buy them, that's such a sweet way to just like binge it right now.
Yeah.
They used to do like if you signed on with like a new cable service, HBO like sometimes does like the free month. That was always now we have HBO, but before we did, that was like the best month of my life when all these suddenly became available, but you never knew when it was gonna end. And then one day you just got on the TV and they were gone. I was like, oh, no.
Terrible.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so finish Avenue 5 and then episode 3 of Westworld.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, and then should we mention that what the new plan is that we're gonna do after Avenue 5? Or
Yeah, do you want to we can talk about it and make the choices at the end of the episode next week because we'll have watched the shows and then we can talk about that and then we can end next week's episode by like picking the shows for each other.
oh yeah.
But I mean if you want to explain, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically next week we're just gonna recommend to each one of us is gonna recommend to each other a new show to watch that the others have seen. And then we'll just watch them and react to them throughout, every week. That way we have a little bit of a diverse selection to talk about. So we'll get more into that next week.
Yeah,
Little
sounds
preview.
great.
All right, so We'll see you next time on Stream It.